Talk Live, episode 18. Thank you for joining us this evening. Troy will be with us shortly. He's around here somewhere. He had to run off and do a little errand, but he will be with us very shortly. And tonight, since it's Friday the 13th, and happy Friday the 13th to all you guys out there. I hope you had a great week. That's right, Dale. Let's go, buddy. I hope you've all had a great week. It's the weekend, thank God. It's been a long week, and I'm glad it's Friday. And again, happy Friday the 13th. And tonight we are going to discuss Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter. And I want to give Dale underscore A from the Bat and Spider podcast a shout out for having that watch party earlier. I was in on that on their Discord, and Jason's here and I have a machete to my neck. So we're going to try to get through this the best we can with this little distraction. And there was a lot of people in it. And I hope it looked like everybody had a great time. I didn't get to watch, but I was in on the chat because I kind of knew what parts they were at because I've seen this movie a million times. But it was cool to see everybody enjoying this film. Before we get into the movie, I know yeah, Jason's always creaking around on Friday the 13th. You got to watch out, folks. When you go out in your yard, keep an eye out. If you're home alone, watch the corners. Jason's out there, and he's pissed. Yeah, so tonight we're going to talk about Friday the 13th, Part 4. Jason's going to hang out with us for a little while. The final chapter. And, you know, it's funny because it wasn't the final chapter, as we all know. And, hey, Kurt, how you doing, bud? And we all know there was a lot more sequels after part 4, but they were told, Joseph Zito was told it was the final one, and we'll get into that as we get through this movie. Just a little download what we've been up to lately. Since we last were together in May, we got to do something really cool over Memorial Day weekend. We got to go to Carolina Fear Fest, which was a lot of fun. We got to meet Daniel Roebuck. Daniel Roebuck, you probably don't know his name, but I guarantee you've seen him in a movie from The Fugitive, Final Destination. Hey, Rich, how you doing, bud? We got Jason hanging out with us. Troy's around here somewhere. You've seen Daniel Roebuck in something, I guarantee it. He was in Final Destination, Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, Halloween 2. He was in The Devil's Rejects. Ton of films. The Fugitive. Tons of movies, tons of TV. This guy's been in a ton of stuff. We got Troy and I got to meet him, and he was just great. And my in was he's from Pennsylvania. He's from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So that's how my in was. I just said, "Hey, I heard you're from Pennsylvania." He goes, "Yes, I am." I said, "Well, I'm from Pennsylvania." And he goes, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Tamaqua, Pennsylvania." And he brought his wife over because his wife accompanies all the cons. And he introduced us, and he's like, "This is Brian. He's from Tamaqua, Pennsylvania." And he looks at me, he goes, "I've been to Tamaqua, Pennsylvania. We shot a movie there." And he leaned in, he goes, "Are you a fan of Knobles?" I'm like, "I'm a big fan of Knobles. We're going there next month." And he goes, "Me and my wife love Knobles. We go there all the time. We're back in Pennsylvania." So we had a little bit of in common. We gushed over a lot of Pennsylvania stuff. So it was a lot of fun. We got to hang out with some cool people. A lot of cool Phil from the Spook House podcast. If you're not subscribed to their podcast, go over to Phil's podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Phil's a great guy. He had a booth there. Got to talk to him and his girlfriend. Always got to catch up with Phil. So it was a fun time. And then the weekend after, Rich came down. He's in the chat right now. And we got to go see Metallica and Pantera and Suicidal Tendencies down in Charlotte. And it was Troy's first time seeing Metallica. I've seen him before. Rich has seen him several times. Alicia's first time seeing Metallica. And I got to be honest, even though Metallica's getting up there, they're in their 60s now, they put on an amazing show. Pantera was awesome. Metallica was awesome. And they still have it. They put on an amazing show. It was well worth the money and the time to go down there. And it was a blast. We had a hell of a good time. Not so much getting out of the parking garage. It's a different story for a different time. But the concert itself was badass. And the stage show was amazing. And it was just a great time. So that's kind of what we've been up to. And we're actually going home to see my parents and all our friends and family, Kathy, Kurt, and our friends. In another week, a little over a week, we're going to go home, go to Hershey Park, and then we're going to Tamaqua, and we're going to Knobles. And then we're going to have a little get-together on Saturday. So we're looking forward to that. And I think we're going to go see Ballerina from the world of John Wick this weekend, either tomorrow or Sunday for Father's Day. I'm excited to see that. And then we got 28 Years Later coming out next week. Jesus Christ, there's all. Hey, Kathy. We got a bunch of stuff coming out, and it's very exciting. Got to see Mission Impossible 2 since the last time we were together. And I really like Mission Impossible. Try to take the mask off because it's a little warm down here in North Carolina. Got to see Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and I loved it. It was great, and I can't wait to own it on 4K. But the reason we're here, the reason is to celebrate today, is it's Jason's birthday, so we have to celebrate. It's Friday the 13th. And once again, happy Friday the 13th, folks. It's the only one we have this year, so we have to enjoy it while we can. So tonight, we're going to discuss Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. I've seen it many, many times with Rich and some of you out there in the chat. This is Troy's first time watching it, so we're going to get his thoughts on this bad boy. And we're going to go through a lot of trivia, because I know a lot of trivia about this movie. So if there's might be some things you don't know. Oh, yeah, I have not seen Clown in the Cornfield yet. I want to see it. It's available on digital, Kurt. The Blu-ray comes out soonish, but I'm not sure when. But yeah, it's available on digital to rent, so I definitely want to see it. Rich said, "Holy Christ, Jason is Troy. Troy is Jason." Yeah, I want to see Clown in the Cornfield. I didn't get to see it in the theaters, Kurt. It was only in the theaters for 2 weekends, and I didn't have time to go see it. But I'm super interested in seeing that movie, so I'm looking forward to checking it out. But it is for sale on iTunes and I'm sure Vudu, and it's available for rent. So if you want to check it out, it's out there for rent right as we speak right now. Also picked up some physical media. Jason Goes to Hell. I just got Swordfish the other day on 4K, A Working Man on 4K, which we can watch after the stream tonight. Although Troy's not going to watch a movie with us. He's going to play with his friends online. Who will be kidding? But yes, and I want to, by the way, before we get started on Friday the 13th Part 4, I want to wish all the fathers out there a very happy Father's Day weekend. Enjoy your day, gentlemen, and ladies that are pulling double duty. It's a wonderful weekend, and just reminds us how special our children are. Troy's not drinking water, Rich. Come on, man. He only drinks cherry Pepsi. All right, Friday the 13th Part 4. I'm excited to talk about this one because I love this film. I'm going to play my cards up front. I've always loved this one, and I'll tell you before this is over where it ranks in the franchise for me. Yeah, Swordfish is awesome, Kurt. I remember seeing that in theaters back in the day. But yeah, I got the 4K from Arrow Video. I will do a video on the transfer and whatnot. I'm going to watch it Sunday night, most likely. I'm excited about diving into that one. All right, Friday the 13th Part 4 came out April 13th of 1984. It's rated R like the rest of them are. It's an hour and 31 minutes long. It had a budget of $2.2 to $2.6 million, depending on your source. And upon release, it made $33 million. So it was a huge hit for Paramount Pictures. And this was supposed to be the last movie in the franchise. Joseph Zito was told that when he got hired to direct this film, that this is the final one. Take Jason out. And take him out he did, and we'll get to that one. Joseph Zito was hired to do this film based off of The Prowler, the slasher movie he did in 1981, that if you've never seen The Prowler, check it out. I do believe it's streaming on Tubi. The Prowler kicks ass. It's very gory. There's some great kills by the great Tom Savini, did the special makeup effects. He did the special makeup effects in this film and the original Friday the 13th and Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead and Creepshow and a ton of other films. Tom Savini's a legend. I got to meet him a few times, and he did the special makeup effects for this film. Joseph Zito did The Prowler in 1981. He did Missing in Action the same year this came out in 1984. Invasion USA in 1985. A little horror movie called Blood Rage in 1980. I reviewed it a couple years ago. If you've never seen it, it's worth checking out. It's for free on YouTube. And he did Red Scorpion in 1988 with Dolph Lundgren. He did a bunch of other movies too, but those are the ones that are notable to say. There's nothing wrong with Cherry Pepsi. Yeah, I know. That's Troy's absolute favorite. Is it not? Yep. All right. So in this film, cast-wise, we got Corey Feldman in one of his first roles. This came out the same year as Gremlins, and then Goonies came out after this. The Lost Boys came out after this. So this is the start of Corey Feldman's theatrical career. Kimberly Beck plays his sister Trish. Crispin Glover, yes, George McFly. The next year he would be in Back to the Future as George McFly, Marty's father. He plays Jimmy, or AKA the dead fuck. And Julie Ardenson plays Samantha, and she was in Weird Science, American Ninja, and a bunch of other stuff. And she was in this film as well. Now, look, this picks up right after, moments after Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. They show you a recap of some scenes from the first 3 films, and then we get into that helicopter shot looking down with the spotlight on the body of Jason Voorhees laying in the barn where he was left at the end of Part 3 with the axe buried in his head. They take him off to the morgue, and we know Jason's alive, but we also get a sense that he's alive. That's right, Goonies never say die, Rich. Yeah, Julie is goated, Dale. Yes, she is. God bless her. If you watch closely when they're shutting the door on the freezer, when the morgue attendant who played Fackler in Police Academy, by the way, and the Jewish rabbi on Seinfeld, same actor, closes the door, you can see a little bit of breath get expelled before the door closes, and we know Jason's very much alive. And he's pissed in this movie because pretty quickly he kills the morgue attendant by sawing through his neck and twisting his head around. Then he kills the nurse, and he makes a beeline back to Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake is, on this side of Crystal Lake, we have the Jarvis family, made up the mother, Tommy, which Tommy would appear for the next 2 films after this. This is like the Tommy Jarvis trilogy, the next couple movies. And his sister Trish, and there's a bunch of kids coming to rent the house out right across from them, which they built that house from scratch for this movie. The cabin was there, and that cabin's been in a bunch of other stuff, other films, and it was on Entourage on HBO. It was in Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's been a bunch of stuff, but they built that house specifically for the movie. And Jason came back and does his thing in very violent ways. This is definitely, out of the first 4 films, this is the darkest Jason is out of the first 4 by far. He's definitely the meanest, the most violent. It's definitely the goriest film out of the first 4, I think. And I think that has a lot to do with Tom Savini coming back off the first film, because Tom Savini didn't want to do the second or the third film. He actually turned the second one down to go off to do The Prowler and The Burning, which, if you've never seen The Burning, that's another badass slasher film. You got to get into. Yeah, Dale. Yep, that movie, that cabin was in Entourage and Eraser, and a bunch of other stuff. But those are the 2 that really come to mind when I think of that cabin. So yeah, Tom Savini turned down 2 and 3 to go off to do The Prowler and The Burning. And again, if you've never seen The Burning, get on that shit. The Burning is badass. As a matter of fact, we might cover that. Well, we will definitely cover that sometime on Horror Talk Live. The Burning is worth giving an episode to eventually. We will get there. And basically, we get Jason doing Jason stuff. We get good-looking girls showing TNA. We get Jimmy doing a badass dance. You can hear Sage barking. Somebody must be at the door, or somebody's walking their dog. She's going psychotic. That's what happens when you have a German Shepherd. They let you know when somebody's outside. That's what they're bred for. But yeah, we get some good-looking girls showing their TNA. We get Jimmy doing the dead fuck dance. And when Crispin Glover was doing that amazing dance, that was all Crispin Glover. That's how he really danced. That's what they say. And he was actually dancing to AC/DC's Back in Black on set, but they couldn't afford the rights to Back on Black, so they dubbed it over with Lion, and the name of the song is Love Is a Lie. So if you want to download that song on iTunes, it's called Love Is a Lie by Lion. That's the name of the song. And you could dance like Jimmy in your own living room. Maybe I'll do it later. And then let's to get Troy in on this one, let's get to the ending. I love the ending, and if this would have been the last one, Jason would have went out on top. Tommy buries the machete in his skull. Hey, Mom, how you doing? Nanny's here.
Hi, Daddy.
Troy's not feeling well. That's why he's a little... he's been a little under the weather lately. So I told him he has to get better before we go back to PA. Yeah. And then I love that shot where the camera's on him and his head, he falls to his knees and he slides down the machete and you can see it going deeper and deeper in his head. It's a great effect shot. I love the look of Jason here, and it's just a badass way to take out this mongoloid killer. Um, I think it's why this movie's always stuck with me. This is the one I rented the most as a kid. This is the one I rewatched the most as a kid. Although I rewatched a lot of them, but this is the one it was always my favorite, and I just love how they take Jason out. I just love Jason here. He runs. He's aggressive. He's everywhere. I don't know. It just works for me a lot. And Joseph Zito had a lot to do with it, the way he directed the film too. I think this is the best directed film out of the first four films, so I think that goes a long way. And I think the cast is probably the best out of the first four films as well. But I will get back into more what I think about this film. What we're here to find out, and Troy's going to suffer through this because he can't talk as good as he normally does. Troy, get up here. What did you think about Friday the 13th Part 4, since this was your first time watching it? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What do you think of the kills? The floor is yours. Go ahead.
I liked a lot of the kills. Some of them weren't that gory, but
Well, they had to cut a lot to get to rated R. Yeah, I know. But how'd you like the way Jason went about his business in this one?
he's definitely more serious, like more trying to get it done.
Yeah, he's not dicking around.
Yeah,
Yeah, he wants to kill these kids in the most horrible way possible. What was your favorite kill? Let's put it that way.
probably when he gets killed.
Oh, when he gets
Yeah,
killed himself? Okay, what was your favorite kill of the kids getting killed or anybody he killed in the movie? What was your favorite kill? Was it the morgue attendant? Was it the girl in the raft? Was it the kid getting his head crushed? What was your
probably
favorite?
the kid getting his head
The
crushed.
kid in
That's
the
pretty
shower
cool.
getting his head crushed. Yeah, that is a good one. That is definitely a good one. Although I love when the morgue attendant gets the
Yeah.
hacksaw and he twists his head around. But how did you think his death was a fitting death?
Yeah.
It was a good way to kill him, take him out. Do you think if this was the last, if this was, we know it's not the last one. You know it's not the last one. I
Yeah.
have a whole box that says otherwise. But if this was the last one, do you think it was a good way to take Jason out?
I feel like they should just cut off his head. They should have just like put a machete halfway through his skull.
Troy was impressed with the kill, but he's like, they should have cut his head off. And I'm like, yeah, but they didn't. So I get it. You want to see that bloodlust, get his head cut off, watch his head roll around the floor, maybe kick it around like
Yeah.
a bowling ball. But you think we didn't get that. But what did you think about Tommy Jarvis as a character? Because it's the first time we've seen a kid in a movie like this. Out of the first four
Yeah.
movies, this is the only time we see a kid involved in the proceedings. So what did you think about it? Did you like it because
It was different.
you could relate to it a little bit because there's a
little,
kid
yeah.
there? What do you think about the masks Tommy made?
Oh, they were cool.
That was actually an homage to Tom Savini, him making masks. Um, they did that specifically as like that was an homage to Tom Savini. Um, I'll out of the first four, I think this is the goriest one. What do you think?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
It's not the goriest one in the franchise. We'll get there. But it's out of the first four, it's definitely the goriest one. Um, I will get. We don't want to get to your rating yet, but we will get to that rating. We will get there. Um, yeah. So my favorite kill. Jesus Christmas, what's going on down there? Sorry if you hear the dogs, folks. My dogs are going ape shit right now. My favorite kill, I would say, is I love the morgue attendant getting killed. Um, I love the way he takes the hacksaw to his neck and twists his head around. I think it's so cool, and it's right in the beginning of the film. I mean, it's right in the first 15 minutes, and it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the movie. Let me know what your favorite kill is if you just watched it. I know some of you just watched it today, so let me know in the chat what's your favorite kill of this movie. I know Rich said it. Yeah, the dogs are going nuts. I'm glad you can't hear them because they're being ridiculous right now, Dale. Um, he's in the house. I loved what Troy said about when he crushes that guy's skull in the shower. I love that one too. I also love the one, and it's not even a gory kill. I love when he grabs that girl and throws her out the window in the slow mo shot, and she hits the car. it's really the first time in one of these films so far in the franchise that we got a really super cool stunt like that in the franchise. And I don't know, something about that, just it's simplicity of it, but I also like the stunt work. It's just a cool thing. It's something that wasn't seen yet in a Friday the 13th movie. So I like that one a lot. Another one I like is when that girl's leave. You don't even see any gore, but I like the way it's shot, where the girl's leaving and she's going to get her bike. I know his name is just kind of stupid, Dale. I know he does not look like an Axel. I think of like a biker dude named Axel or Axel Foley. He definitely does not look like that. Especially if you've ever seen Police Academy, you know he's kind of a dork in that movie. Um, the other kill I really like, you don't see any blood. It's more of the lighting, the thunder, the lightning, the rain. Is when the one twin is leaving and she's going to get on her bike, and the camera pushes in on her and pushes past her, and we see the lightning flashes, and you see the shadow of Jason killing her and then throwing her up against the house. I don't know. That just always worked really well for me. I think it's a really well directed sequence. And then obviously Crispin Glover in the kitchen getting a corkscrew in his hand and a meat cleaver to the face. This is classic Tom Savini stuff, and it just works so well. And I think definitely the deaths in this one are the best out of the first four. Um, I think bringing Tom Savini back was a great idea, and he even says in the documentaries, "I created Jason. It was only right that I came back and killed him." Although, as we know, because of the success of this movie, and this was supposed to be, this legitimately Paramount thought this was the last one. It made so much money that Part 5 was out a year later. So, and then we know they made a lot more sequels. So, but this was in fact supposed to be the last one, but it never happened. Now, the way they killed Jason, I think they had a bunch of ideas on how to kill Jason. We just watched a documentary before we went live about Tom Savini had an idea where Tommy was like an amateur inventor, and he used this microwave with a reflector on it and cooked Jason's head from the inside out, and it exploded. The crotch stab, oh yeah, the crotch stabbing makes any guy Winsdale. Oh my god. Um, Even Troy was like, "Yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool at all." I think that would be a classic Tom Savini kill with his head exploded. Tom Savini did that, in The Prowler. There's a guy that gets his head shot off with a double barrel shotgun, and it looks spectacular. Oh yeah, Rob getting killed. Yep, we're going to talk about Rob. Rob is an interesting story arc, which goes to the timeline of these films, which they don't ever seem to have given a shit about the timeline here, because the timeline's all jacked up, and yeah, we'll talk about that. It's one of the negatives, although I love this movie. It's one of the negatives is the timeline. You can't really think about the timeline too much, because really this would be not Friday the 13th. This would be Monday the 16th, technically, if we went in the order of the way these things kind of went. But we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll talk about Rob searching for his sister from part 2, even though she's only been missing for 2 days, and he magically has a sketch of Jason from a sketch artist. There's some gaps in logic, but you can't hold it against it too much, because this whole series has a whole shitload of gaps of logic against it.
It's kind of like Texas Chainsaw. The timeline is all like.
Well, you didn't even see Texas Chainsaw 3D if you want to see fucked up timelines that don't make any sense. You gotta watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, because those years don't match up at all for what's going on screen. But whatever, you just go with it and have a good time. I think the way they killed him, even though the microwave thing with the head exploding would have been cool, and it would have looked amazing on film, I think the way they kill him is simpler, and it works because you're using one of Jason's weapons against him. So I think there's a little simplicity and a duplicity about it that works really, really well. So at the end of the day, I think it was the right way to go instead of getting too crazy. What, Rich? Oh, the timelines? Now, I don't think I'm the only one to notice. I'm sure there's other people online that have noticed that. I'm sure I'm not the only one. There's no way. There's a bunch of people that are just as crazy as I am with this shit that notice these things. But the timelines don't make a lot of sense. Because honestly, this would have been Monday the 16th. if you think about it. If you go back and think about it, this is Monday the 16th. So Rob is looking for his sister that was only gone for 2 days, and he's a sketch of Jason that nobody knew about until a couple days prior. What the F? Okay, if you think about it too hard, your brain's going to hurt, and you're going to think, did a 3-year-old write this shit? But no, adults wrote this, and I think they just said, fuck it, we're just going to go with it, and to hell with it. We'll just, you know. And really, if you're just having a good time with it, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking too critically of it, so I'm thinking a little bit too much about this shit. But I thought, you know, it's worth mentioning that really this is Monday the 16th, but it's okay. Not to be the fact is, they all live on Crystal Lake. By the fourth one, you think the Jarvis family would have heard that there was a bunch of murders on the other side of the lake and maybe thought, oh shit, either we better get a gun or get the hell out of here. But they didn't. They're just living blissfully over there in their cabin. And although I would be too. It was a cool cabin. I'd live there if somebody gave it to me by the lake. Me and Troy were discussing that. But I could live there. Yeah, peace and quiet, nature. Hell yeah, man. Just got to worry about a serial killer running around in a hockey mask looking to kill me and my family. But we'll deal with that as it comes. Yeah, so we already talked about Rob. Rob was looking for his sister Sandra from part 2. She was the one with the boyfriend who got killed, the double kill. They're having sex, and Jason drives that stake right through both of them. That was Sandra. They were the two that go off looking for Camp Crystal Lake when they show up. She's the one that wants to go off and look for the camp. So that is Sandra that Rob is looking for. And I do like Rob's death. They don't show any gore, and him screaming, "He's killing me," is kind of, it could come off a little goofy, but I think it works. I think it works pretty well. Because all you're seeing is Jason moving something like a weapon, but you don't see contact. You don't really see any blood. And I think it's the one time, like one of the few times in the movie where you're not really seeing a payoff, but I think it still works pretty effectively. Now, here is a little something for you. Now, this film was supposed to be released in October. Paramount liked the film so much, they moved it up to April of 1984, which meant Joseph Zito only had 6 months to do post-production. So to get all that post-production done, what they did was Paramount literally rented Joseph Zito a house in Malibu with a team full of editors, and they were basically locked in the house until they finished the movie. They brought them food. They weren't allowed to leave until they finished the movie, and they got it out by April. He literally had 6 months to do all the post work on this film. That's pretty damn impressive. And I think, again, like I said before, I think this is the best shot movie out of the first 4. Joseph Zito was really good at these slasher films. If you watched The Prowler, he should have stuck with... I like Missing in Action and Invasion USA, but he really had an knack for slasher films, and I wish he would have stuck in that realm, but he didn't. He didn't really do any more horror after this, but he did 2 really cool slasher films in the 80s, so we will take it. We already talked about Crispin Glover's badass dance. Ted White played Jason in this movie, and he was an old-time Hollywood stuntman. He doubled John Wayne, bunch of huge career. Man is dead now, but he was the oldest guy ever to play Jason. He was 58 when he played Jason in this film. And he brought a lot of the ideas of Jason running, being a little bit more aggressive. That was all Ted White. And Joseph Zito liked his ideas, so they went with it, which I thought was cool. And I do like, he is one of my favorite Jasons of the whole franchise. I got to switch my notes over here. When Joseph Zito was hired because of the strength of The Prowler, he was actually hired to write and direct this film. And he told the executives, he goes, "I'm not a writer, I'm just a director." But they gave him the money and hired him anyway. And he actually took the money he got and hired, out of his own money, he hired Barney Cohen to come in and write the script for him. I mean, he was very heavily involved with the script, but he hired a screenwriter because he's like, "I'm not a writer. I don't know. I don't do that." Hey, Sean, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us here. Ted White actually went on right after this movie. Right after, like they wrapped, and he went right after and went on to John Carpenter's Starman to work on that as a stuntman after this. Oh yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about Trisha's stunt going out the window. this movie was this one really did up the stunt factor with the girl getting thrown out the window, hitting the car, and then Trish going out the window and hitting the balcony and then flying into the mud. I mean, they really did up the stunt work here, and they went bigger. I mean, they kept it in the same realm, but they went a little bigger. They went a little bit more, more panache here for this entry because, like I said, Joseph Zito was under the impression this was the final chapter. This was it. We were killing Jason. It's over. Because Frank Mancuso Jr., he was involved with the second one, but he produced the third one. He really did want to finish it off. But like I said, this movie made so much money that Part 5 came out a year later, and then we got Part 6 and Part 7 and Part 8, and then Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, and then Friday the 13th, 2009, and I got to say, it's a shame. It's 2025, and we haven't had a goddamn Friday the 13th movie since 2009. And they're talking about a TV series. I mean, no, I want a goddamn movie. I want to see Jason on the big screen yet again. But hopefully they'll get their heads out of their asses and we will get a Friday the 13th movie on the big screen so I could take my son to see one on the big screen. Hopefully we'll get that because I don't really care about this TV show. I want a movie. God damn it, I want a movie. Like the previous two movies, this was shot in California. The first one was shot in Jersey. Beandale just talked about this. Blairstown Diner in Blairstown, New Jersey, celebrated Friday the 13th today. And that's where they shot the diner scenes for the first film. And the camp's not too far from there. And they had this badass shirt they were selling, but they weren't selling it online. You had to go to the diner to get it. And I'm like, I almost called my dad to ask him to drive out there today to get it because they were only selling them today. But I didn't want to do it to my dad. And he might have thought about doing it because only an hour and a half from where my parents live. But now, Tom Savini got involved in this movie. He wasn't the first makeup effects artist hired. Greg Cannon was hired to do the makeup effects for this film. But something happened. Greg Cannon left, and Joseph Zito had worked with Tom Savini on The Prowler. So he called Tom and brought him in to do the effects here. And I think, you could tell Savini's back with the effects work, the kills. You could just tell that Savini is back in the fold. And he would go off to work with Joseph Zito again on Invasion USA. He did some makeup effects for that one. Oh, did you? Kurt, you should have stopped by the diner, buddy. They were selling those shirts. They were pretty cool, but they sold out pretty quick. Yeah, me and Dale were thinking about taking a road trip. Rich, I'd love to spend a weekend there, but it's very expensive to stay there. Kurt and Kathy priced it out. It's very expensivo. Because even Troy said, when we go? And I'm like, well, I don't know if we're ever going to go because it's a little pricey. I would go to the Blairstown Diner, though. I would drive out there at some point. Oh, Rich, you know how much it is then. So don't be playing coy, Rich. You know how expensivo it is. I heard the food's good there, Kurt. People rave about it, but yeah, they say the food's good, and every Friday the 13th they have a big celebration. They're having a band behind the diner today. I think they were selling beer. I mean, they were going all out, and they were doing tours of locations, the surrounding locations. I don't know if they were taking you to camp, but they were doing tours of the locations around the area. I thought that was pretty cool. I follow them on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. They have some cool. They post some cool stuff. They seem like nice folks out there. I'll want to go sometime. Sometime I will get to the Blairstown Diner. At some point we will make it there. I don't know when, but we'll make it happen. Anyway, so at the end of the day, let me know in the chat, what are some of your favorite kills? What do you think of this movie out of 10? What does this rank in the franchise for you? I'd be interested to see that because I know everybody has their different favorites. This is my personal favorite of the franchise. I'll say up front, it always has been. This one and the remake would be my second favorite of the franchise because I think the remake's a lot better than we we didn't know how good we had it in 2009. Let's put it that way, considering we haven't gotten a movie in forever. Uh, I like the remake a lot. I think it's better than we gave it credit for at the time. But I like this one. It's down. It's. I think again. I think it's the best shot one out of the first four. I think Joseph Zito does a really nice job. It's my favorite Jason out of the first, well, couple that have Jason in it. And actually, Ted White would probably be in my top three Jasons out of the whole franchise. And I like the kills. I like the tone, the atmosphere. And the kids here. I think the kids are the best out of the first four. Crispin Glover's glorious, just as Jimmy. This just lovesick kid who just wants to get laid. There's a slight charm to that, like a young teenage charm to that it works for me. And again, there's some pretty girls in there. That never hurts either when you have those flying around in a Friday the 13th movie. But Troy, what would you rate this movie?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Out of the first four films, this is the first time he's watched this. We haven't gone beyond 4. He hasn't seen beyond 4 yet. Wow. What is your favorite out of the first 4 films?
4.
Part 4, the final chapter.
Oh, okay. You saw the Jason Goes to Hell?
No, you. Oh, it's right. I'm sorry. He did watch Jason Goes to Hell. I let him watch that because it has nothing to do with the rest of the franchise, really, except for maybe Freddy versus Jason. What did you give Jason Goes to Hell? A 7?
6.5.
6.5. Jason Goes to Hell is a tough sell. Let's be honest. I mean, I think it's fun, but it's not the greatest movie. But I had the 4K and it looks spectacular. So if you're interested in buying the 4K, I will say it looks spectacular. I'm your biggest demon. All right, man. I'm up for it. I was thinking, Dale, we should watch 7 tomorrow night, man. Along with the other ones. I was thinking we should watch a Friday the 13th tomorrow night. Dale and I have a movie night every once a month. We try to have a movie night. And tomorrow night's our movie night. I'm going to bring Nightmare Beach and Drive, Dale, because Brandon sent that to me. Brandon couldn't be here tonight, but he's going to watch the replay. He's out for on his birthday dinner tonight. His birthday's coming up. Brandon, we miss you, but I know you're having a good time with your daughter and your family. I know, Kurt. I know. I'm busting at the seams over here with my physical media. My physical media is a goddamn mess because I have shit everywhere. Troy tries to find a movie. He's like, where is it? I tell him where it is. He goes, I don't see it. I'm like, it's there. You just got to look. I got to get organized.
That's what you should do this weekend.
I'm not going to have time, man. But I'm going to give you my rating out of 10 on this one, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this. What's in the box? I would give Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, I would give this one a 9 out of 10. I know it's pretty high, but I do believe that this is a really good slasher film. Like, this is almost, Part 4, yeah. I like Part 6 a lot, too. Part 6 is a lot of fun. Although when I saw it in the theaters on the big screen, it didn't hold up quite as well, but it's still a hell of a lot of fun. I like that movie. 9.5 out of 10 from Dale. All right, man. All right. I really like this one. This is almost, in a lot of ways, this is almost a perfect 80s slasher film. It does so much right that you would expect from an 80s slasher film. It's just a Friday the 13th movie. But if this was any slasher film, this would almost be considered a perfect slasher film. You have your cute girls. You got a lot of TNA. You got a lot of kills, a lot of gore, a badass killer, and they take out the killer in a really cool way. No, I know it's not for kids, but thank God my son's a teenager now. So yeah, I think in a lot of ways, this is a quintessential 80s slasher film. Like, if you're going to show somebody like the quintessential 80s slasher, this would be one of them. The Prowler would be another one. The Burning would be another one. Prom Night would be another one. But this one really gets a lot right. Well, Kurt, yeah, don't we all? As red-blooded American males, you got to love the TNA. It's a part of the fabric of America and part of the fabric of a slasher film. You got to have a little bit. Just a little. Not a lot. This one has a lot, but, although the remake has a lot more. Just because of that one scene, it goes on forever. God bless him. And that was in 2009. and they just went for it, man. But yeah, I like this one a lot. I'm glad I got to watch it with Troy now. Now he gets to move on to part 5, which is basically softcore porn in a lot of ways. But yeah, he has a lot to. We just finished. Oh, yeah, thank God. Thank God the EU law does not apply here. It's right. By the way, we just to get a little off topic. I just showed Troy the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. Um, so you got to watch part 1 and part 2. I forgot to mention that earlier, and he liked them. He liked them, and he liked part 2, which I really like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 a lot. I think it's a really good movie. I don't. I think it's the most Rob Zombie movie out of the Halloween movies. But yeah, we got to watch those, and Troy enjoyed those as well. And we actually got the Rob Zombie's Halloween poster back there. Daniel Roebuck signed it for us. I let Troy pick the poster. That's the one he likes. That's the one we got. It's on the wall right behind over my head or my right shoulder right there, or left, depending on how you're looking at me. My right, your left. So that was cool. We got to watch those movies because it's hard to get Troy to sit down and watch a movie. But yeah, so Friday 13th Part 4, I think universally this is one of the better ones. I think a lot of people think it's one of the better ones. And for good reason. Like I said again, this is one of the better made ones out of the franchise, has one of the better Jasons, some of the better special makeup effects, and I think some of the better kids, especially Corey Feldman being in there as a young kid. I think that gave this movie a little bit different flavor. It's the first time a kid's been involved in the proceedings in this franchise so far, and it won't be until part 6 when kids were in the mix or in danger from Jason's wrath. So I think, it gives it a little bit of more danger to it, even though we know they're not going to kill a kid. Not back then. Maybe now they might, but not back then. Yeah, Corey Feldman was good back then. I mean, no matter what you think of him now, his music career, whew. But I loved 80s Corey Feldman. This, Gremlins, The Goonies, Stand By Me, The Lost Boys. He was great in all those movies. And even in Bordello Blood, where he shows up, he's good. I dream. What the hell's that one? $500. Holy Christmas. God bless you. I Dream of Jeannie. What the hell's that movie he did with the genie? Him and the two Coreys were in it. I can't remember the name of it. License to Drive. I loved that movie, especially when I was a kid. That was a fun 80s comedy, coming of age comedy. But yeah, I think him being in this gives it a little different flavor, having a kid in the mix. So yeah, that was, I think that was a smart move by Joseph Zito, having a kid and a dog and a rain. I mean, he did a lot of stuff that, studios usually don't like, but they let him get away with it. Now, that is it for Friday 13th. Again, happy Friday 13th, but we're going to announce what we're doing. Dream a little dream. That's it, Dale. You got it. You got it. Dream a little dream. That's it. That's the one. That's what the genie in the bottle, right? I've seen that movie, but it's been forever. It's probably been 25 years since I've seen that thing. Maybe even 30. No, probably about 25. Yeah, I saw the teaser for Spaceball 2. Spaceballs 2, and Rick Moranis has come out of retirement for it. I was shocked by that. Unfortunately, John Candy's not here to take place, but The Rise of the Shorts. Yeah, did you see not only Rick Moranis is coming back and coming out of retirement, but Bill Pullman's going to be in it. And Bill Pullman's son's going to be in it as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. Hopefully it lives up to the first one. You got to wait till 2026, 2027. Is that when they said it's coming out? 2027 for that. But anyway, next month we have a special request. A friend of the show, a friend of the channel requested a movie because his birthday's coming up. And it's timely because it's the 4th of July. This is another movie Troy has not seen. But I know a lot of you guys out there, especially you, Dale, have seen this movie a couple times. We are going to talk about next month for July's episode of Horror Talk Live. We're going to talk about this bad boy right here. Return of the Living Dead. Talk about nudity. There's some nudity in this one. Yes, we are going to go to the land of the dead for this one. And it's timely because this takes place over the 4th of July weekend. We are not going to do this on the 4th of July. Unfortunately, we can't do it. We'll probably do it the Friday after the 4th of July. But yes, next month's movie we're going to discuss is Return of the Living Dead. I got this 4K from Scream Factory. I have not even watched it yet because I just got it. So I am looking forward to diving into this one. So yeah, that's going to be next month's episode. That is requested by Brandon. Oh, 2027. Thanks, Sean. Yep, Mel Brooks is 98 years old. God, makes me feel old that he's that old. Have you ever seen that one, Kurt? Return of the Living Dead? I'm sure you've seen it at some point. I remember I used to play the shit out of the Return of the Living Dead 1 and 2 on WPIX 11 out of New York when I was a kid in Tamaqua on 8 o'clock on a weeknight. Troy's never seen it, though. This is going to be his first zombie movie. Right? You haven't seen a zombie movie yet?
What about? Oh, are we gonna classify that? What does the zombie movie? Where like he's like
Dead bodies coming back to life. That's what a zombie movie is.
oh, the one where he shoots like the acid thing on the ground and like turns into like these.
Those are demons. Those are demons, not the same thing. So yes, Troy's never seen Return of the Living Dead. So this would be his first zombie movie. So we're skipping over some of the other classics, going right to Return of the Living Dead. Dude, WPX 11 out of New York was my saving grace. That's how I saw a bunch of my first horror movies back then. Dale. I mean, that's how I saw Halloween 3 the first time, Phantasm 2, Friday the 13th. Silver Bullet was the first time I saw it. Was on WPX 11 out of New York. Return of the Living Dead 1 and 2. Shit, man. I that used to be my go-to to watch movies. I remember my grandparents. I'd sleep with my grandparents on a Saturday night so I could stay up and watch horror movies. Sorry, Mom. And my grandmother would make me a cheese omelet the next morning. I used to love that. And I would wait for the TV Guide to get there with the Sunday morning paper. And I would plan out my whole movie watching week based on what was going to be on WPIX 11 that coming week, especially during the month of September and October, because they would always play a horror movie at 8 o'clock at night, unless there was a baseball playoff game on. So, Nightmare on Elm Street, you used to play that on there, and a couple of the sequels. Friday the 13th, Part 1, they usually played Part 2 on there. Trying to think of some other movies. Creep Show 2, and the first Creep Show they used to play on there. Creep Show 1 and 2. I mean, I got to see a bunch of movies before I got to see the R-rated cut. That's how I saw them until I started renting them. That's how I saw a lot of the first movies. Yeah, it's nice. I'm glad my son's old enough to enjoy this with me now, and it helps that he's into horror and he's interested in seeing a lot of stuff. Although he wants to watch Terrifier, and I told him he's not ready for that yet. Yeah, we'll get into that at a different time though. We'll get there. I told you we'll get to Terrifier. Just relax. There's so many movies to go through. You haven't even gone through half of them. We'll get there. We will get there. Just gonna be patient. Patience. He's so eager to watch Terrifier 1 through 3. And I'm like, patience, my friend. Patience. Oh, Landon watched Final Destination. He likes. Okay, cool. Yeah, Troy hasn't seen any of them yet except for the new one. We did see the new Final Destination, Bloodlines. I liked it a lot. It was pretty good. I'm looking forward to having that on 4K at the end of July. I didn't pre-order it yet, so don't even ask me. I don't know if it's even on pre-order yet. But, yeah, so next month we're going to do Return of the Living Dead. I'm going to wrap this up so all you folks get on to your Friday the 13th. I'm sure I know Pluto's having a Friday the 13th marathon on. So you can watch them all over on Pluto, unless you have the box set, which I know I have the box set. Dale, you have the box set. So enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for spending some time with us. We greatly appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
We always, anytime anybody spends some time with us, we appreciate it. We're just a small channel. We're just having fun over here. and talking about horror movies and stuff that we love. And it was a fun one. It's Friday the 13th. We got to spend it talking about one of my favorite entries in the franchise. And that's it for this one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you have a great Father's Day for all you fathers out there and your mothers doing double duty. We love you guys. But until next time, bye.